yes. That was Coal Miner by Local H. I don't know what YouTube is trying to do. Just switch it really quick without the song being over. That's really annoying. But hey, that's to be expected of white supremacy capitalist run doors. So forget the what can I say? This rude, disrespectful manner in which they ended that song. But anyway, it's a great song by Local H. And again, an awesome recommendation from my wonderful husband, David Augustine, the villain supporter. And remember who is the villain? Hey, that's me, the villain, the brownie, the leftist, the narrator, and ultimately David's wife. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. I know some of you will be going to church. Make sure y'all pray for world peace. While you're doing that, make sure you send your angry letters to the white degenerates, the child rapists in Washington, D.C. to let them know, hey, you paying attention to their regular ass shit. So, you pray while you're doing that at the same time. Anyway, it's Monica, your friend Monica. I woke up this morning, just in like good mood. I don't know. I just feel happy because yesterday, if you follow me on Facebook, on Monica Augustine, on my Facebook page, I share some pictures of my oldest daughter, Pilarina, and she went to the Art Institute with her boyfriend Braulio yesterday, and she took pictures. She doesn't take pictures very often, but I did ask her. I called her and asked her if she spoke. Actually, what happened is this: there's a group chat that we have, and my baby daddy, his name is Sean, the father of Isabella and Layla, my other children. He was saying something. I didn't understand what he was saying, and this is how I do it. My children know what is being said. If I don't understand it, I can always ask them, and they will let me know what, to translate, so to speak, for me. And sometimes when he speaks, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm so lost. Or when they're talking to me and I'm not, what is this? So, but my kids, they know I have that deficiency. So they're able to decode language for me. And he was just complaining, my baby daddy, I guess he watches some of my videos. And he said that the way I start my video, he said that I don't have all the time in the world, Sanchez, like he calls me, or, his baby mama. I don't have all the time in the world. You got to get to the point. And my kids were laughing at that. He said, yeah, I got to go. He said he does freelancer for the Seattle Times and stuff. See, I don't have. Anyway, when I was like, what are you talking about? But anyway, I called my daughter Pilarina for her to help me out with that. And also to see as she spoke to her father. Because yesterday is my ex-husband's 60th birthday and he's in prison. And the only way I knew he's going to call his kids. And I just wanted to see how he's doing. And but anyway, when I spoke with her, I said, hey, what are you doing? She said, we're going to our Institute Mount for Valentine's Day, and Braulio borrowed a very expensive, unique car from his job. They let him have it for the weekend or something, and it's such a nice car. So she took pictures and sent it to me. So I share those pictures online. I just love my little baby, Pilarina. I'm telling you, she is as good as they get on this planet Earth, and I'm glad I'll get to be the mom with such an awesome young girl. So I shared that. I also called my other daughter, Yasmin, her sister, and she too spoke with her dad in prison. And she was shopping with her friends in Arizona, and she told me that she missed her boyfriend who lives in Chicago and she lives in Arizona. She's in vet school. She said, I miss makeup, Mom. I said, oh, such a romantic. My babies are romantic. And then I think I called my other two kids, but they didn't answer. Although Isabella posted in her Instagrams a picture of her boyfriend Finn this, and I shared that picture too on the chat. Say, see, Finn is a handsome champ. And I was talking to my husband this morning. Said, anybody who get to be with my children are champions. Okay, so that's how it goes. Hey, if you lucky enough to be with my daughters, you are a champ. And you get to be with me, you are a champ. And my husband was like, I like that. It sounds like a correct thing. That's true. Anyway, but that's out of the way. That's just how it went. Hey, that's just how it goes with me. That's how I think. That's my logic. But anyway, we usually start this show. I like to call it a show with what's happening in the world. If you've been paying attention to my commentary, I need to go do my hair. I'm gonna call my hairdresser tomorrow to see if she can see me. If you've been paying attention to my commentary, you'll see that I've been feeling a bit dejected because I'm a leftist. And if you're a leftist, you want to destroy white supremacy. You want to destroy imperialism. You want to destroy capitalism. And on planet Earth, we are it's dominated by all these things, these very vile, disgusting things. But there's spots on planet Earth that said, we're not having it. And some of the spots were like Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Iran, right? Syria before that, but now it's gone. So there's just a few places on planet Earth. And those places are important. And white supremacists, white degenerates, these child rapists, and these colonial European capitalists, they don't like that. Because Cuba, for example, is really not, it's not a threat. It's really not economically viable to these states, But Cuba is symbolic, right? And for these animals, these white degenerates, they don't like, they don't want symbols of resilient, of resistance, they don't like that. They have to destroy everything like that because they don't want to give the rest of the planet who enslave ideas, okay? That's what it is. It's this because it really is not going to change much for them materially. Now, Venezuela, they have oil, right? And they have a ton of natural resources that these white degenerates want to steal, right? But Cuba doesn't, though. Cuba is not like that. It's an island, right? And we know this because they've been doing that for a long time now. Like, for example, U.S. under Reagan, invaded Grenada, a little tiny island, very small, but occupied by Blackfoot. And it was trying to socialize themselves. And U.S. just wouldn't have it. Went over there, invaded, killed a bunch of people, and took over the shit, right? That's basically how that's how it goes. So, now, with Venezuela, though, I've been dejected because I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what's going on in that country. I know that the white degenerates send the garbage, they rape, and then they call them special forces, went in that country, kill a bunch of people, kidnap the president, and after that, it was still, the government didn't change, it was still the Chavista. It was just the president and the first lady who went away. But the vice president or the president took over, and that's how it's supposed to be. Even in U.S., if the orange degenerate goes away, then the person who will come after that is J.B. Vance, right? Another white degenerate, right? That's how it's supposed to be. That's how I believe most states supposed to be, right? So, it was not the thing. But at the same time, I thought about what I've been talking about for a while now, the fact that white degenerates, white supremacists have done something so disturbingly vile, and that is Palestine genocide, right? And Palestine genocide, it just like is traumatizing to the whole planet. So if you are in position of power in any given state and you're responsible for your people of that state, you are making calculation in your head. Do you want to, because you have to understand these are savage animals, in US, for example, this is a country that was occupied 100% by native people, and now native are less than 1%, right? So you know history. Despite what white folks think that people call it we stupid, we not stupid. We know, and we have a long-term memory. Something that white folks may not have because they want to pretend they're people when in fact they're savages by and large. People of color and our subconscious, we know history, okay? We not stupid. We know, and I'm telling you, there is no country on earth that doesn't know this. We know who we're dealing with. We know because it's a 500-year history here of these people literally exterminating whole swath of people and taking over. They're violating principle because as humans, we hardcore to be good. And what they do is they're willing to be evil and commit evil. Yeah, evil is always going to win. It's just good and evil. Evil always going to win. In terms of like materially, it's not going to win in terms of the way people respect, That's why they have to do all this propaganda and lies and dismiss, because it delegitimize them, right? Right? So because even though they went physically, for example, they killed a bunch of Palestinians, they exterminated these Palestinians, right? They exterminated natives. Yeah, they won the land and shit, and they can live in this land, but at the same time, they did not win the ideological mindset of the human being, though. If you're Lebanese, if you're African, we know that these are demons here, okay? And that's what we call white supremacists, right? And these people know that. They know that. What the animals in Washington, D.C., they don't care because there's no way they can, there's no amount of soap or water they can wash themselves with because they're just that depraved, vile, right? But anyway, going back to what I'm saying, this is like, for most states at this point, they cannot just say, okay, we gonna tell these white degenerates to fuck off, right? Because the gun is pointing at their head. Okay, it really is. So they're doing a lot of psyop. Now, they know, white supremacists know this, that for Venezuela, for example, there's the populace, the people in Venezuela, I'm talking about, they like me, they're radicals, right? And they're people who's like, I have nothing to lose, right? I have nothing to lose. And it could be a disaster. Although they're sociopathic animals, right? They really are. But at the same time, they want to preserve a small amount of legitimacy, which they no longer have. Because Palestine genocide have really taught world population that these people here, these white degenerates, there's a number. They really are. And that's why they're acting the way they're acting. Right? They've over 500 years of this brute force of depravity is coming to a squeaking end. I don't know if the human species will survive this because these are people who are far gone. They it's like KJ Noah said, they are dead inside. You might see them, right, as quote unquote husband and wives or what have you, or fathers and shit, but they're dead inside because they know that the human beings as a species, we just cannot accept them anymore. They cannot rule over us. They're not superior. It's a lie. Just because you're criminal does not make you a superior. It just doesn't. There's no such thing as superior. It's an illusion in their head because they did it through violence and abuse, And somehow they think they're superior. They're not superiors. They use evil, immoral, and antisocial shit to conquer the world, right? To conquest. For example, the Americas here, people used to come here, including Africans, by the way. Africans. And there are a lot of anthropologists who are telling us that African came all the way to Africa and came here. But they did not conquer the natives here. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. But these animals that came from Europe came here, exterminated natives, and took over the land. Right? And then they not just did that. The Dutch did it. With the Dutch, the first one who came here. Right? So when you do like demonic shit like that, then you think you're superior, then when you're not. And then you make everybody, the rest of the planet, to think that you're superior when in fact you're not. And that's what I love about my family drama. Because I get to show, see, these are just people. These are white folk. And unfortunately, they're actually primitive. And I'm trying to elevate their thinking from this primitive thinking to a more sophisticated thing. Right. But anyway, to finish up this, what happened in the world, it turns out that this whole thing about Venezuela send oil to Israel, I typically don't fall for psyop because I have learned to be very skeptical about literally everything. But they got it from not extremely good source anymore. I call Democracy Now! Is watered down so-called leftists, not really anymore. But I didn't assume that Democracy that would be fall for some shit like that. But it was contradicted by Telosur that Venezuela did not do that. And if Venezuela do send oil to Israel, a country that's really has exterminated the indigenous people of Palestine right now, it would radicalize people inside the country. So we don't know which one is which, right? Because remember, we're dealing with the savage animals who are controlling the information spaces. Like right now, for example, there's a new app, the App Scroll, and it's an app that was created that looks like it functions a little bit like Twitter. And you Google Play already banned that apps on the App Store because it has over 4 million people who we out of Twitter, we go over there, right? Because they control everything. White supremacists control everything. And what we need to do is trying to make them irrelevant of the tools, right? That's what needs to happen. Because at the end of the day, those two only work if your whole population are using them, right? They're using them. But they think they can control us just by these tools alone, but that's not the only thing you can control people with. You have to control people with ideas that people believe in and respect. And I don't care how much you can control the info. You can lie all you want, but if you are killing babies in Palestine, right? If you are trying to starve people in Cuba, if you are going to bombing people in the small boats in the Caribbean, right? When you elect a degenerate garbage like Donald Trump as your president, there's not much you can have to offer to us. You know, maybe white racists, these degenerates who believe the rest of us, we are animals, will go for it, but it's more than them in this planet, right? This planet is occupied for more than white degenerates, right? Or white people who are this primitive, right? And you need a buy-in for the rest of the population who just no longer accept your supremacy. And that brings me to the family play. All right, so yesterday, we spoke about Christine, okay? We spoke about Christine. Homegirl was all over the episode yesterday. It was awesome talking about her. I really, we spoke about her. We spoke about how she, first of all, the whole reason we even have this play is because she's a good daughter. Let's put it that way. She's a good daughter. She was doing what her mom wanted. And if you don't remember, I'm going to remind you my mother-in-law, the principal character, also known as Jean, the matriarch of the Augustine family, this family of this drama, she was in a hospital, and everybody was informed that she's critically ill. We went, right? And when we went there, uh, everybody in this family was allowed to go except me, right? The Brownie, the villain, the leftist, the narrator, David's wife. I was not allowed to go. Everybody except me. And remember, these are all white folks. So all these white folks can go to the ICU unit with my mother-in-law except me. Now, when that happened, she's the one who said, hey, everybody can go except you. And when I said, why not? He said, it's not about you, right? It's not about you. Even though, if you notice here, if it's not about me, I'm being singled out. I'm being singled out. We can call that alienation. Now, that's what happened here. Now, that word alienation ring true to me for another setting. And that's it. It's going back to our family table here. So that day that my mother-in-law came here for an intervention, she said another thing to my husband. She was saying that, these kids are feeling alienated. Okay? Emily and Lacey are just feeling alienated. I guess you're feeling alienated in this house. In this house, they share almost all their life with their dad and their shadow here. And now that Monica moved them, now they feel alienated. And I thought that was such an interesting choice of words, right? That's an interesting choice of words. Now, if you're a person of color, right, you know what an alienation is. You literally are, because you live under white supremacy. And literally, it's just how you, that's it. I mean, you alienated. You are the illegal. You are the thought. You're the criminal. You're the terrorist. You're the, you everything except human. So as a person of color, I didn't even know it was even a thing. It was just like a given. So we feel alienated. That's just our disposition, supposedly. And me, for being a mulatto woman, right, my whole life, I was born other, essentially. Now, a lot of people are afraid of being other. Not me. I enjoy. That's the best spot for me. I love it because it just makes me feel like I can concentrate on being human. Even though they want to deprive me of that humanness, I can concentrate on being human, and I don't have to fit in with anybody because, hey, I'm already other, right? Otherizing me, it doesn't work because that's just how I feel about life, Now, when people start talking shit about mulattoes, I'm quick to defend them. I don't care if mulattoes are doing whatever. I say, well, when you start complaining about the sameness shit, then you gonna get me there. But as long as you don't complain about sameness, you can't complain about mulattoes. That's how I feel. Because I feel like sameness is overrated. But anyway, so she said that word alienation. So when she said that word alienation thing, I thought about this. If you've been paying attention to the episodes, right, you will notice something here. You will notice something. My husband asked me for marriage some time ago. I want to say in 2018 or 2019, right? And I was willing for us to marry at that time. But then what happened, right? There was a problem with his kids, right? So, in a way, my husband was alienated from his potential wife at the time. So that's one alienation. My husband and I, we went to Disney World, right? And when we went to Disney World, with his kids and my two daughters, Leila and Isabella, what happened when we were there? Well, over there, Leila and Isabella, if you don't know that, they just, and I show some videos and pictures of them on Facebook a lot, because I just want to show their personality. They're like super cute. I mean, these are kids full of energy. They like to dance. They like to fight. They like to do everything. Whenever I post some of this video, they do go viral, like thousands of views on those, because they're just like that special kids. That's how they are, right? And they speak loud. And then what happened when we went there? On when we went to Disney World, Lacey started crying. And you know what happened when Lacey started crying? My husband got upset. Now, she didn't get upset with Lacey for crying. She got upset with Layla and Isabella. And my kids, they're a little bit like me. They're perceptive and they're smart. They are very smart. These are kids who have friends of all contacts, and you can't. It's not. They're nothing. This is a real deal. These are city kids. They have all kinds of friends and stuff. They know how to maneuver the whole social order here. My husband got mad at them, called Layla and Isabella mean girls. That's what happened. He got mad at them. And then she just gave her Lacey crying out. And what happened here is interesting. That's Isabella. Now, Layla didn't say anything, but Isabella said something. He said, Lacey, why are you crying? Why are you crying, Lacey? Nobody did anything to you, right? If you were my daddy's daughter, she would have said, why are you crying? I'm going to have to give you a reason to cry. That's what Isabella said. She didn't get mad at David, even though David unfairly accused them of being mean girls, already labeled my daughters mean girls, even though they were not doing anything to her. They were just talking to each other. Now, years later, I did confront Lacey about this because I thought it was a disturbing behavior. And by the way, by this time, this girl done so many disturbing behavior that I just I let her have it, right? But that one I did want to confront, like, why did you do that? And then she said that Layla and Isabella was, they were disrespectful. That's what she said. Now, I was there, and I didn't see anything disrespectful. I just saw Layla and Isabella, that's how they are. They loud and like to talk about celebrities. Things that I actually don't like. They like to watch the 30 Day Fiancé and reality stuff that U.S. propagate, right? That's frivolous stuff that I don't like. I would love them if they can be more substantive and stuff. But, hey, I don't control what kids are being acculturated with in U.S. I don't control the TV. I don't control the computer. I don't control anything, right? I just trying to, when I see behaviors I don't like, I just trying to try and correct it, So essentially, for this kid, if people are talking louder, that's disrespectful. Because for you to be respectful, you gotta be soft. And my husband shared that view a little bit because he tells me, like yesterday I was talking to him about display and stuff. He said, I think you can be nicer, Monica. I'm like, what's nicer? Right? But anyway, when she said that and then she was disrespectful, I said, this kid, she really need to do something. But anyway, I let her that. To me, that was an alienation. She was alienated Layla and Isabella, right? Now, she could have alienated me too, but it didn't happen because I'm committed to David. And I knew that these kids, they're gonna turn 18 years old in the near future, and this won't be a thing, right? So I just want to bring that out, that's an alienation. Right. Now, what has happened? That day, I can go like a million of these kind of things of alienation. That day, that on her graduation, which I didn't go to her graduation because my husband said there was not enough tickets, and I didn't go, but we was gonna go to dinner, and one of the problems she was upset about is because if you remember yesterday, it was a Valentine's Day. If you notice, I didn't tell you that, oh, my husband got me flowers and chocolate and shit like that. That's just not his thing. That's not a thing for him. It's not that. That's just his personality. Well, with her though, she expect my husband to be something he is not. That day, my husband, I suppose he didn't get her no flowers or some shit like these sentimental stuff, and my husband's not like that. That's just not his thing. And that's what she wanted for that day, and because of that, she made a huge fuss, like literally so fuss. Now this is the kind of behavior I would have never tolerate on my kids. I don't care. That would have never be allowed, right? But my kids wouldn't even dare think like that, right? But she did that. And that's when she come home, I was like, hey, it's time for dinner. And I say, no, she's not happy how things turned out. All right, so then what happened after that? Then she calmed down a little bit, and then we was going. And that's when she felt like it was necessary to literally tell my husband that she didn't want me, Monica, to go in that dinner with her and Emily. She just wanted her, my husband, and the three of them to go to the thing, to the dinner, without me. That's what she said. And then to ratchet up even more, she said she need her shadow, the inefficient incubator that she called her mom. Okay. So when that happened, that's when I said, this is it. Never again. You're never going to do that again. I didn't tell her. I just knew that won't be happening. Right? So then, in my opinion, that was an alienation. She was alienating herself. They were alienating themselves. Because, I knew they were alienated. Now, later on, after our dinner and stuff, I give her a hug. And at least he give me a hug. I give her a hug. I say, congratulations. I'm happy you graduated. I told my husband, let's go to Target and get her the fucking flowers, whatever that is. She got her the flowers. I went outside, took pictures of two of them, right? And she was happy. I think she has those pictures. That was it. Yeah. But I knew that day forward, we wasn't gonna have that. These behavior are alienation. Alienation is not my husband's fault, right? It wasn't my husband's fault. It wasn't my fault. These are disturbing behavior because these kids were not allowed to be just go through the experiences, ups and downs, as you're supposed to in a reasonable manner, so to speak, even within white context. Everything about it needed to be protected. They don't do no wrong. They can never be yelled at. They cannot hear no loud noise. And we know through social science research that a lot of white folks are like that though. They like peace and quiet, even though they're the one who causes chaos on this planet. But they like peace and quiet for themselves. And anything that doesn't comport to their whiteness settings has to be destroyed, discarded, disposed, killed, do whatever with it. And it starts from like this when they're young, right? Now, going back to that alienation that my mother-in-law was saying, I thought about that when we were in a hospital, in a waiting room. And so we're in a waiting room. At this point, after I got into a big argument with Christine, I already spoken with Henry. He trying to kind of clumsy, trying to calm me down, so to speak. And then my husband finally it was time for him to go. When my husband went over there and I'm sitting here, I felt for the first time, even though I am, like I said, the other is my normal disposition, I felt literally alienated. I felt like I was I felt like I was alien on planet Earth. Literally. For the whole 30 minutes my husband was there, I felt extremely uncomfortable and annoying. You know, I I was in my mind like, I can't believe this shit. What the fuck is this, right? I just feel like, why these people this way? Why? Why can they not? I don't want to say the word tolerance, well, because you don't need to tolerate people, because that's fuck you. You don't tolerate people. You respect people. You accept people. You're not entitled to anything, right? But I almost said, why they so this intolerance? Why they so incensed? Why this hateful? Okay, that's what I was thinking, right? Why they like to violate the sacred? And then we can see where Epstein files, they're doing despicable things like cannibalism, like child sacrifications, human sacrifice, like pedophilia, all kinds of stuff that is sacred. But maybe this is not extreme like that, but it's more or less a violation of the sacred. You violated my right to be next to my husband when he was in distress. My husband was concerned, right? And I like to think when you're married, when you in the, like when my father was going through illness and death, my husband gave me the support, right? I needed that. He was the closest individual to me, and he gave me that, right? So I was just thinking, I was like, oh, this woman is doing that. What she think I'm doing to her granddaughters in the house? She think she's alienating me, right? She's trying to make me feel what alienation means, right? And also, this is another thing. The problem is this with these people, right? They really don't care about me. What they care about is, I have this connection with my husband as an individual outside of any other context, right? Outside of me, maybe outside of his work, or outside of other interests of my husband. That's what they want, right? As if he just this object, a unison object of sorts, right? That's what they want for my husband, and I'm not gonna allow them to have that with my husband ever. I go wherever my husband is. My husband is wherever I am. That's it, and I'm not letting nobody have, and I'm not gonna allow that, and that's what makes them upset, right? Because hey, if you really wanted to include my husband, you should try to accept him with everything that comes with him, right? Those days that my husband gonna be going to Six Flags with these two kids, or be these, even when they all grown, like he's going and then behind him like a little dogs, are over. Are just over, okay? Are over. And then what's interesting is this: when I was in that room and I was just thinking about this alienation thing, I was just like, you know what? I see how these people think. Anyway, when my husband got inside that room, later on I asked my husband, well, how was it? What happened? My husband went there, and I think he wasn't even, like, for him, all of this, that's David. He just doesn't understand. He doesn't pick up, like, these, he feel like he's above that. He doesn't think the insult, then you don't think that it's significant. But he did pick this alienation. Actually, this alienation is a reminder of my husband. He told me that it's like, okay, so they're saying that the kids are being alienated. And my husband is this: if these kids never want to talk to me ever again, that's totally fine, as long as they're independent. That's my husband's attitude about this. Like, there is nothing they can threaten my husband with, because what he wants for them is to be independent, to be self-reliant, right? Like we all supposed to be, right? And if they want to talk to my husband or don't, it doesn't matter, right? And I want them to know that. But that's really what I picked that up. Because that's the thing. She was trying to say they alienated. The kids have alienated themselves a long time ago. They alienated themselves because they want to use my husband as a property, as something that needs to be there just for them. And that's not a thing. You don't own individuals. That's not a thing. You do not. You don't own your father, your mother, your children, nothing. They're not property. They're not property. But anyway, when my husband got inside the ICU unit, I asked her, well, what happened there? She said that he was standing up, and then she's standing out while she's in the ICU unit. I don't know. You guys can use your imagination. You're somebody at a hospital in ICU unit. I mean, something they would deprive me. Like, I can't be in the ICU unit. I mean, she depriving me this sacred space. And I was just thinking about another thing this woman had. Up to this point, I never think of it this way. But I'm starting to think that she's super narcissistic in a way, Like, she thinks that she's entitled to be in this fucking hospital room with her, all the family, they're adoring her and some shit. And the more I run that in my head, the more, like I say, I have little to no respect for her at this point. It's up to her what she's gonna do with this to turn that around. And like, if I'm sick and shit, and I'm critically ill, right? If I want my family to come and see me, I'm not gonna do all this fuss. Anybody can come and see me. The priest, the neighbors in the neighborhood, anybody can come see me in the ICU unit. As far as I'm concerned, they are good to go. Right? The hospital is responsible to make sure I'm safe. I don't care. You want to see them? Oh, sure. There. And if it happen like that, it's, people go over there and see the sick. You're supposed to do that since you go to church. You're supposed to go look, Mother Teresa used to go look for the, go take care of the sick and stuff. It's not just to be your fucking family. It could be anybody. Go see and take care, and give comfort the ill, right? But I just thought about how fucking narcissistic this woman is. It's just like she wants to be in this ICU unit, and like she insulted me, insulted my husband, and like she's just gonna have her precious designated bloodline, right, that caused somebody else, and then her and Henry, her common-law husband, and the rest of the family and stuff, right? And then she didn't see me, and for the first time, she has not been able to see my husband without me in a long time, and I think that gave her some happiness, right? That's what happened here. But anyway, I asked my husband, I said, okay, what happened when you got into the ICU unit? She said, she wrote down something, said sit down. He asked my husband to sit down. I said, oh, okay. So somebody gave him a pen, a paper. She's critically ill. She was have the energy to write down shit. Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now, and I hope she'll see this episode. I really do. You not even doubt you ever gonna be able to do it with my husband ever again. I'm not even gonna give you a pleasure to write shit down to my husband in any ICU unit or what have you. So, hey, you wanted to alienate me. Now, I do not mind surviving on my alienation. But the day you think you can dehumanize me, right? The day you think you can degrade me, the day you think that you can disrespect my husband, those days really ended. And with that, we're going to go to Dr. Parenti. In fact, wait, no. Before we go to Dr. Parenti, I just want her to reconsider all the things that I say. I do. I really do. All I'm asking these people to do is this, and I have been saying the last few episodes, I just want them to abandon the primitive mindset and elevate it to something higher, right? Something than your racist, your white supremacy, your capitalist, and your bias nape to some ideas. And think bigger than that, right? Let's go to Dr. Parenti. All right, so yesterday on the black shirts and reds, the rationalize of fascism and the destruction and the overthrow of communism. Where did we left off? We left off. Oh, I think I closed my page. All right, let me see. Okay, more right than wrong. I think that's more right than wrong. Okay, that's the section we need to pick up. Oh, they closed my page. Okay, no. Okay, I find it more right than wrong. So let's start. Those who reject Marx frequently contend that his predictions about proletariat revolution have proven wrong. From this, they conclude that his analysis of the nature of capitalism and imperialism must also be wrong. But we should distinguish between Marx and Chiliastic thinker who made grandly optimistic predictions about the following of my page went blank because that's how this thing is. Okay, but we should distinguish between Marx and the Chiliastic thinker who made grandly optimistic prediction about the following of the human condition, and Marx, the economist and the social scientist who provided us with fundamental insights into capitalist society that have held painfully true to the present day. The light of Marx has been regularly misinterpreted by anti-Marxist thinkers. Consider the following prediction. Business cycle and the tendency towards recession. Marx note that something more than greed is involved in the capitalist relentless pursuit of profits. Given the pressures of competition and rising wages, capitalists must have technological innovation to increase their productivity and diminish their labor costs. This creates problems of his own. The more capital goods, such as machinery, plants, and technology fuels need for production, the higher the fixed cost and the greater the pressure to increase productivity to maintain profits margin. Since workers are not paid enough to buy back the goods and services they produce, Marx note there is always the problem of a disparity between mass production and aggregate demand. If demand slacken, owners cut back on production and investment. Even when there is ample demand, they are tempted to downsize the workforce and intensify the rate of exploitation of the remaining employees, seizing any opportunity to reduce benefits. Where I'm lost this spot. Reduce benefit and wages. The ensuing drop in workforce buying power leads to a further decline in demand and to businesses recession that inflict the greatest pain in those with the least assets. Marx foresaw the tendency for profits to fall and for protected recession and economic instability. As the economist Robert Hilbromer noted, this was an extraordinary prediction. For Marx Day economists did not recognize boom and bust businesses, cycle as inherent to the capitalist system. But today we know that recession are a chronic condition, and as Mark also predicted, they have become international in scope. Capital concentration. When the Communist Manifesto first appeared in 1848, bigness was the exception and rather than the norm. Yet Marx predicted that large firms will force out or buy up smaller adversaries and increasingly dominate the business world as capital become more concentrated. This was not the accepted wisdom of the day and must have sounded improbable to those who give it any attention. But it has come to pass. Indeed, the rate of mergers and takeovers has been higher in the 1980s and 90s than any other time in the history of capitalism. Exactly, those monopolies, but like it's gone. Growth of the proletariat. Another Marx prediction is that the proletariat, workers who have no tools of their own and must work for wages or salaries, selling their labor to someone else, will become an ever greater percentage of the workforce. In 1820, about 75% of the American worker 75% of America work for themselves on farms or in small businesses and other crafts. This house is something in this house that made me sick. I can't wait to move from this house. I can't stand it. Let's keep going. By the 1940s, that number had dropped to 21.6%. Today, less than 10% of the labor force is self-employed. The same shift in the workforce can be observed in the third world. From 1970 to 1980, the number of wage workers in Asia and Africa increased by almost 2/3, from 72 million to 120 million. The tendency towards the steady growth of the working class, both industrial and service workers, and as Marx predicted, this is happening globally in every land upon which capitalism descends. Proletarian revolution. As capitalism developed, so will the proletariat. Marx predicted, we have seen that to be true, but when further, with the growing misery and polarization, it's so hard to say this word, polarization, the masses will even eventually rise up and overthrow the bourgeoisie and put the means of production under public ownership for the benefit of all. And that's what I want so bad. But the problem is, we have brainwashed. Because in my opinion, in order for this, like, everybody got to be radical like me. You do. I mean, the ruling class is garbage. It's worthless. It's a piece of shit. Yeah, it's a picture thing. I was like, look at the handsome champ. That's Finn. Riley say, yeah, the handsome welcome Finn. Like Sean said, not too many of us are the handsome champs. I mean, if you involve my kid, my daughters, you are a handsome champ, okay? You are a champ. I mean, well, that's just how it is. But anyway, let's keep going. What was that? Okay, so, the workers need to take over. Because honestly, the bosses are worthless. We don't need them. We're doing the work anyway. We can do the work without them. Like, seriously, like, they're useless. Like, landlords, fuck the landlord. We need a tenant. Tenant can take care of everything. We don't need the landlords. We don't need the capital owners. They're worthless. They're at exactly zero. And if you've been paying attention, some of the books we have read, like Open Veins, Latin America, and how Europe underdeveloped Africa, The capital's owners are worthless. Elon Musk is a piece of garbage. Look, yesterday what he did. We can hear from the Iranian officials who speak English language. We can hear from them directly. He has banned them from Twitter, right? So like we had to hear Iranian perspective from white degenerates, people who rape babies, right? I don't want to hear from them. I want to hear directly from the Iran. Go to bed. I don't need white degenerate to mediate my what was being said by somebody else. And I got this from Kwame Nkrumah, right? From Kwame Ture, right? It's Kali Michael, you know? He's a black revolutionary, you know, one of our ancestors now. He said, you don't need to go through them. If you want to know, say for example, I want to know what the Black Lives Matter organization had to say. I don't need to get it from the New York Times. I can go to the Black Lives Matter website and read the press releases. It's simple like that. If I want to hear from Palestinians, I don't want to hear from the white degenerates who committed a genocide. I want to hear them directly from Palestinian people. They know how to speak. Right? I don't need that. No. You don't need to hear from them. You need to hear people, settlers. Okay, these are settlers. What they do is they lie, right? Like right now, they're using all kinds of psyop, put them in the press, tricking all of us, including me. I think I fell for it. And I don't even know. And I still, honestly, I don't know which true or not. All I know is just the fundamental. I know that they have committed a barbaric genocide that has traumatized world populations, and although in the long term they're gonna lose, and I'm telling you this, bitch, the days that white folk can control the planet are nearly approaching the end. This is the last whatever, because it cannot stand human beings. We're just not gonna keep allowing the degenerate to control our lives. And right now it's a little bit risky. It's delicate, you know. So people who are responsible for millions of people, they cannot just be like me, a radical revolutionary who does not give a fuck, right? It's easy to do it when you're not responsible for anyone, right? Like who has ever said that? It's easy to be an activist when you're not the president of Venezuela, right? And we know that. So at the same time, I just want to make sure that they don't let white supremacists have the last say, right? I don't. And honestly, I don't want them to have the last say. I would never accept that. Even if I'm the last person on earth who does not subscribe to that, and I will stand alone. I would rather stand alone than give in to compulsion. But let's finish up. Proletariat revolution, as capitalists developed, so will did the proletariat. I predict this. We have seen that to be true, but he went further with the growing misery and polarization. The masses will even eventually rise up and overthrow the bourgeoisie and put the means of production under the public ownership for the benefit of all. The revolution will come in the more industrialized capitalist countries that have large developed working classes. What struck Marx about the working class was its level of organization and consciences. Unlike the previously oppressed classes, the proletariat heavily concentrated in urban areas, seemed capable of an unparalleled level of political development. It will not only rebel against his oppressors, as had slave and serf, but will create an egalitarian, non-exploitative social order as never before seen in the history. In his day, Marx saw an alternative system emerging in the clubs, mutual aid societies, political organization, and newspapers of a rapidly growing British working class. For the first time, history will be made by the masses in a conscious way, a class for itself. Sporadic rebellion will be replaced by a class conscious revolution. Instead of burning down the minor, the workers will expropriate it and put it to use the collective benefit of the common people, the ones who built it in the first place. Certainly, Marx's predictions about the revolution have not materialized. There has been no successful proletarian revolution in the advanced capitalist society. As the working class developed, so did the capitalist state, whose function has been to protect the capitalist class with its mechanism of police repression, police suppression, and his information and cultural hegemony. Okay? And that's the thing. Informational and cultural hegemony. Let's keep going. Of itself, class struggle does not bring inevitable proletarian victory or even a proletarian uprising. Oppressive social condition may cry out for revolution, but that does not mean revolution is forthcoming. This point is still not understood by some present-day leftists, and his latter years, Marx himself began to entertain doubts about the inevitability of a victorious worker revolution. So far, the prevailing force has not been revolution, but contra-revolution, the devilish destruction wreaked by capitalist states upon popular struggles at the cost of millions of lives. Exactly, and that's what they do. Why do you think they're going to Venezuela? Because Venezuela has a social structure that is, they can control it. It's not brainwashed. It's not brainwashed. Despite what Nancy Pelosi, that Italian American piece of garbage, said yesterday about Cuba, Cuba people, they know what's up. All right? Is he trying to make it like, oh, the state is just, no, the state is the revolution, okay? It's the revolution. They don't want your shit. They don't want you to turn them into Cancun. But let's keep going. Marx also underestimated the extent to which the advanced capitalist state will use its wealth and power to create a variety of institutions that retard and distract popular consciousness or blunt discontent through reform programs. Exactly. That's why if you respect any institution, and I mean any international institution, any white supremacy, I do not trust any of them. That's the first thing you need to do. Oh, the Nobel Prize, or the Nobel Prize Foundation, or any institution is white supremacy. That's the first thing you need to understand. You cannot be free by subjecting yourself to white supremacy institution. Now, I'm not saying you can't go to school and stuff, but you have to be accredited. You got to be like Dr. Rodney said, you got to be subversive, okay? You have to understand these are colonizers. Colonizers are not here to free you. They're here to colonize you. And just because they smile on your face don't mean shit. Don't mean shit. Okay? You have to be able, like I do with my mother-in-law here. She is funny. I can see through her shit. You cannot fool me. And yes, that applies to everything. You have to be able to detect these people want freedom for you, for all people. Not this, for size. These animals may, polite and they see you, but they're going to go vote with Donald Trump, who wants to kill you or do something with you. It's like, no. Capitalism, like I said, capitalism is white supremacy. It's a system occupied by white supremacists. Don't have a room for anybody else. And if you do not understand that, you don't understand shit. If you think capitalism will ever be fair for the rest of us, you drinking Kool-Aid and you need to get out of that shit. But let's keep going. Contrary to his expectations, successful revolution occur in less developed, largely peasant society, such as Russia, China, Cuba, Vietnam, through the proletariat in these countries participated in some time, as in the case of Russia in 1970, even spearheaded the insurgency. Although Ma's predictions about the revolution have not materialized as he envisioned in recent years, there were been impressive instances of working class militancy in South Korea, South Africa, Argentina, Italy, France, Germany, Great Britain, and a dozen other countries, including even the United States. Such mass struggle usually go unreported in the corporate media. In 1984 to 1985, in Great Britain, a year-long strike resulted in some 10,500 coal miners being arrested, 6,500 injured or battered and even killed. For the British miners, luck in that conflict class struggle was something more than a quaint, obsolete concept. So in other countries, in Nicaragua, a mass uprising brought down the hated Somoza dictatorship. In Brazil in 1982-1983, as Peter Wolscher observed, quote, the Brazilian working class has played precisely the role assigned to it in 19th century Marxist theory, paralyzed São Paulo and successor of enormous mass strike that began over bread and butter issues, but which in the end forced the militant to make major political concessions, notably the restoration of the measure or authentic party political life, close quote. Revolutions are relatively rare occurrence, but popular struggle is a widespread and constant phenomenon. You hear that? Popular struggle is a widespread and constant phenomenon. Revolutions are rare. Right? That's what Dr. Parenti. Let's listen to Dr. Parenti, because that's true. They're very rare. We got Haiti revolution, right? The garbage that was in this country is not a revolution. It was just the Caparazonos. They want to keep conquering the land, right? Right? It was not a revolution. It's a bourgeoisie. It was just like the bourgeoisie were fighting between each other. It can't be a revolution. Whatever the fuck that is. I don't care what the garbage in the Republican Party thing. It's not a revolution. But anyway, tomorrow we'll pick up more wealth and more poverty from this book. Alright, but now I think because I'm a little heated, and I'm going to keep being heated because there's so many drama. The more I think about it, the more I get annoyed. I do think these people, they have, they wanted to make me an enemy. They got it. Not that, but I'm just gonna. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's listen to Family Affair with Mary J. Blige, okay?
Holy smokes! You don't look so good, boss.
Tell me about it. It's a real.
So
fun up in this dancery. We got y'all open, now you're floating, so you got to dance for me. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting, so just dance for me. Don't need no haters. We're just trying to love one another. We just want y'all to have a good time. No more drama in your life. Work real hard to make a dime. If you got beef, your problem, not mine. Leave all that BS outside. We're gonna celebrate all night. Let's have fun tonight, no fight. Turn that train track way up high, making you dance all night. And I got some real heat for you this time. It doesn't matter if you're white or black. Let's get drunk 'cause Mary's back. Let's get drunk upon that fun up in this dancery. We got y'all open, now you're floating, so you got to dance for me. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting, so just dance for me. Let's get it crunk upon that fun up in this dancery. We got y'all open, now you're floating, so you got to dance for me. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting, so just dance for me. Let's get it crunk upon that fun up in this dancery. We got y'all